Hello, friends, and welcome back to KidswiseCorner. Did you know that A-plus students are not smarter? They don't study longer, they just think differently. Today on KidswiseCorner, we're learning the 6 thinking levels that help kids learn faster, remember longer, and shine in tests. Ready to level up your brain? Let's climb the thinking ladder. Have you ever studied really hard, read your notes again and again, and then, surprise? The test questions look different. The answers don't come easily as your brain suddenly goes blank. You begin to question yourself. Why does this feel so hard? Here's what nobody tells you. It's not about how much you study, it's about how you think. There is a thinking ladder in your brain. Most kids stay on the bottom steps of the invisible ladder. They work hard, but they are working at the wrong level and don't climb high. But there is another group. They are the A-plus kids. They are the ones who seem to get it effortlessly. They climb higher, not because they're smarter or study longer, but because they think differently. Today, I'll show you the 6 thinking levels and how you can climb them too. By the end of the video, you will know exactly which level you are stuck at, and more importantly, how to climb higher. Let's start at the bottom. Level 1 is called Remember. This is where most students begin. It's a world of flashcards, highlighting, and endless rereading. Picture this scenario. You are sitting at your study desk trying to memorize facts for a history test. You highlight your notes. You read, then read again. You copy definitions onto flashcards and repeat them loud. You quiz yourself before bed and you are able to recall them. On Monday morning, you feel confident. On Tuesday, you still feel okay. But as the week progresses, by Friday, it's almost forgotten. Then, when the test approaches a month later, you have to redo the studying as you have forgotten all the notes. At first, it felt good. But a few days later, most of the information you learned is gone. That's because remembering words without understanding them doesn't last. And that's the reason why you forget. An example is building a sandcastle near the shoreline at the beach. It takes time and looks amazing. But then one wave comes in, and the sandcastle falls apart. Why does this happen? Because it was built in the wrong place. Now here's the lesson. Studying can be the same. You can be very busy, reading your notes again and again, copying answers, or memorizing without understanding. But if your thinking is weak, one test question can wash everything away, just like that wave. Being busy does not always mean you are learning. Real learning happens when you build your knowledge strongly by understanding ideas, applying them, and thinking deeply, not by memorizing only. Here's an example. You are writing a science test, and the question was to define photosynthesis. You are excited as you learnt that question and was able to write the same answer onto your test sheet that was learnt from your book. But the moment the question was changed, and the question now asks you to explain why photosynthesis matters to the ecosystem, you freeze. This is because you memorized the words but never learned or understood the meaning behind the content you were learning. This is how A-plus students build much strong learning that does not fall apart. A-plus students ask themselves, what is this trying to say or explain? At level 2, you're wrapping your head around different concepts. You're not just collecting information. You must see how does this work or how does this fit together. At level 2, you are not just remembering words. You're trying to understand what they mean. This is when you ask questions like, why does this happen? How does this work? Can I explain it in my own words? Let's look at an example. Your science book says, an object stays still or keeps moving unless a force acts on it. A level 1 learner memorizes that sentence. But a level 2 thinker says, Things do not start or stop by themselves. Something must push or pull them. That is why a ball keeps rolling until friction slows it down. That is why your bicycle stops when you stop pedaling. See the difference? One way is storing words. The other way is building understanding. When you reach level 2, you can explain ideas, not just repeat them. You can answer questions that start with, explain why. Describe how. Level 2. Thinking is a big step forward. But remember, it is only the beginning. The strongest learners keep climbing higher. Understanding is important. It helps you explain ideas clearly. But here's the big question. Can you use what you understand? This is where level 3 begins. Level 3 is called apply. This is when you take what you learned and use it to solve real problems. You are not just talking about the idea anymore. You are doing something with it. If you understand a maths rule, can you use it to solve a sum? If you understand a science idea, can you use it to explain what will happen? That is level 3 thinking. Understanding becomes action. And this is the level where learning starts to feel useful. Apply is when learning becomes useful. You learned multiplication in class. Let's look at a simple example. You are buying chips at the local supermarket. Each packet of chips costs 7 rands. You want to buy 7 packets of chips. You calculate 7 x 7, 49. That's applying. At this level, you can solve practice problems. But the questions are usually easy and predictable. Many students feel confident here. They can finish homework. They can solve practice questions. But here is the problem. As much as level 3 questions are predictable and follow a recipe, but then the test changes. Suddenly, the question does not tell you which rule to use. You must decide for yourself. This is where many students get stuck. Because now, the exam is no longer testing level 3. It is testing level 4. The question doesn't tell you which formula to use, so you freeze. That's because the test is asking for higher thinking. Level 4 is called analyze. This is where thinking goes deeper. At this level, you do not look at ideas one at a time. You look at how ideas connect. You compare. You look for patterns. You ask questions like, how is this similar? How is it different? What happens if one part changes? This level feels harder, and that is normal. Your brain is working more deeply. You may need to draw diagrams, tables, or mind maps. You may think more slowly. That does not mean you are doing badly. It means you are growing. Level 4, thinkers can answer questions like, compare these two ideas. Explain the relationship between them. But here is the next step. Level 4 helps you see connections. Level 5 helps you decide what matters most, and that is where top students stand out. Once you can compare ideas, the next question becomes simple but powerful. So what? Which idea is better? Which one matters more, and why? That question takes you to level 5. Level 5 is evaluate. This is where you ask the big question. So what? Which is better, and why? At this level, you make a decision and you explain why you chose it. There is not just one correct answer anymore. You must think carefully and choose the best one. For example, you read 2 stories. Your teacher asks, which ending was better? Explain. Now you must choose, give reasons, and defend your thinking. This is A+ thinking. And here's something important to remember. When thinking feels hard, your brain is growing. Easy studying creates weak memory. Hard thinking creates strong memory. So if your brain feels tired, that means it's working. So now we reach the highest level of thinking. At level 5, you learned how to choose, justify, and defend your ideas. You didn't just know the answer, you explained why it mattered. But once you can do that, you're ready for the final level. Level 6 is create. This is when you make something new. You write your own story. You create a new maths problem. You design a science experiment. You are no longer just learning, you are becoming a creator. Now, here's something important. Not everyone needs level 6. If you can reach level 5, you are already a top learner. But many students think learning works like this. Start at the bottom and slowly climb up. Smart learners do something different. They start by asking big questions first. Instead of asking, "What do I need to remember?" they ask, "What is the most important idea and why?" When you do that, your brain automatically remembers, understands, and applies what you learn. So next time you study, try this. Ask yourself, why does this matter? Which idea is more important? Congratulations, you just climbed the thinking ladder. You don't need to be born smart to be an A-plus learner. You just need to think smarter. Thanks for learning with KidswiseCorner. Like, subscribe, and keep climbing higher every day. See you on our next adventure.